Welcome to a character study of Tina Duval, who appears in the UFO episode Survival. She was portrayed by either Susan or Suzanne, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Farmer. I think I spotted her on a Danger Man episode, so I'm guessing she was a pretty popular guest TV actor. I know that Foster tends to kind of flit about a bit when it comes to relationships, but it looked like he had quite a serious thing going with Tina, to the point where even Commander Straker references it several times.
I'll leave an address where you can contact me.
I think I know where.
In other words, she was not a one-off fling for him, even though we as the audience only saw her for one episode. This immediately sparked my interest in her, because this means she was extra special, and someone he really cared about, so therefore probably pretty awesome as a person. I would also argue that Tina has the most memorable entrance of any character on UFO. Who can forget her chilling in the shower with music blasting and then rushing out, throwing on a bathrobe and going, "Oh, I look like such a mess." Well, she's absolutely gorgeous. Is that you? I have soap in my eye. I may give her a hard time about perfectly coming out of the shower, but I do love that scene. I'm thinking she probably was planning to go out again that night, and so we've all been there. You jump in the shower for a quick rinse, and you're trying to protect your makeup and your hair so you don't have to redo it yet again. I get it. This brings me to the reason I absolutely fell in love with her character, and that is the exquisite decorating taste of her apartment. Seriously, we have some fabulous set designs on the show. Hers might be in the top 3. Somehow she manages to exude elegance and yet have a casual, cozy atmosphere at the same time. That is so hard to achieve. I can see why Paul wants to just come hang out at her place. Overall, it's mostly bright sunset colors, but the furniture and key pieces like lamps are often white or neutral, so it doesn't become too overwhelming. Then you get tidbits like the huge pink elephant stuffed animal. My headcanon for that is Paul took her to an amusement park and won it for her, trying to show off. I don't know. I just want that episode of them being adorable together. So it just lives in my head. The room also has some splashes of light blue, which is of course the complementary color to orange, and some earthy greens that are very tastefully done. I absolutely adore her modern looking mushroom lamp. Like seriously, this is hashtag goals, her apartment. Did I mention she has books? I just immediately trust people who have large bookshelves in their living rooms. Like if I walk in and there's a coffee display book and that's it, I'm just like, I don't trust you. But if I walk in and it's like her place and there's books stuffed everywhere and all these nooks and corners, I'm like, all right, you're my people. This is also really subtle, but take a look at the colors again. The darker ones are towards the bottom of the room. And then as you go up, it gets lighter and lighter, and at the very top is white. This will really open up a room and make it feel airy. So even though her apartment is relatively small, it feels big. When we first see her with Paul, they are clearly delighted to see each other. But of course, then the episode happens. Basically, he goes missing on the moon. He's running out of air. Everyone kind of assumes he's dead. And they tell Tina as much.
Foster had no close relatives, but there was someone. She was as close to him as anyone. I think she should be told. All right.
She is, of course, crushed by this news. She doesn't know much about his work other than it is top secret and he can't really tell her about it. The ending kind of reminds me of Robin of Sherwood, when Marion thinks that Robin is dead and she just loses it. And when he pops back up going, "I'm back," she's like, "No, I can't do this." We get a similar reaction here from Tina. She has just gone through Tartarus, hearing that he's dead, and then he just shows back up at her apartment as if nothing is wrong, and she's just like, no, it's too much. What both Paul and Robin Hood forget is just the amount of pain that you go through when you think someone's dead, especially someone you're kind of in love with. It's devastating. You can't just pop back from that. And in this case, I think Tina spent those hours realizing they didn't get to see each other that much. And she maybe wished they had been closer. And this brings us to the famous confrontation at the end of Survival.
You've always known there are things I can't tell you.
About your job. But does it come before everything? Even me?
I'm sorry.
So am I, Paul.
She has a legitimate question. Where is the relationship going? Will it be the stressful, semi-casual, he could vanish or die at any time? Or will it be a more serious commitment, maybe having a family and he gives up his job even? I don't know. She's not asking that level of question here. She's just saying, what is your priority? Is it us or is it your job? Because Paul does not have a job where it can be both. And I admire his answer here because he could have been all suave and be like, oh, Tina, don't worry about it. I love you. You are all I care about. And then secretly just done his shadow thing. He does the mature thing and is just like, I'm sorry, it's the job. He respects her enough to tell the truth, even though the truth hurts her. And then here we see a very different reaction from Tina than we saw from Mary in the Straker situation. Tina sets boundaries and then she follows through with them. It rips her apart. I mean, look at the expression on her face when Paul leaves. But she knows it's the right thing to do. And it's better to break both their hearts now, fairly early on, rip the band-aid off, and part ways. She understands that if she pretends to be okay with it now, it will hurt worse someday. They're going to end up as their own confetti check A-okay. And she puts a stop to it. And I am so proud of her for that. And it's one of the reasons I chose her as my first character study. She's a fascinating character for someone who has like 3 scenes. Tina is willing to make the hard choices up front that's ultimately best for both parties. And I know she and Paul probably had a rough few months after that, but hopefully had a group of friends to help them through it. In that final little scene, we hear Foster reaching out to Alec, like, let's get a drink. So he has help over on the shadow side at least. And then Tina, I'm sure, has people she can call up and get her through it. Again, my headcanon, I like to think a few years later, she's really happy and has found someone who can cherish her in her amazing apartment. This is one of those situations where if we were dating and we're like, okay, ready to move on to the next step and move in, I'd be like, I'm moving in with you because your place is so cool. Even though we only get a few moments with Tina, I adore her character. She is so brave and wise, and a great example of how even one-off minor characters can really make an impression on UFO. Interceptors, immediate launch. That means now.